What's going on a Tuesday? It is your boy, Tone Duncan. You are listening to another episode of the Truth Seekers. Good evening. Hello. Happy Tuesday. Caleb, Steph, Scott, Arthur, Ruth, hanging out on Instagram. Ruth, what's up? We're all over the place. This is IntellectualRadio.com. I am your host, Tone Duncan. Every Tuesday, 7 p.m., we're tuning in to the Truth Seekers. Special shout out to Diamond Rico. So, fam, what's going on, Caleb? What I need you guys to do today is I need you to like, I need you to comment, and I need you to share. Make sure that you're telling people so that we can all jump into the conversation and be a big part of what's happening. Alameen, Sister Ange in the house. You guys, I hope you had a wonderful weekend because and had some of the best weather that you could possibly hope to have. I mean, beautiful, beautiful weather. If you were in Chicago, you got an amazing gift because we had a 4-day vacation because of the Jewish holiday for school, and that's for you who are affected by the school system. What goes on is that typically we just sit around and just deal with miserable weather, but we had beautiful weather. So I hope that while we were enjoying the magnificent weather, special shout out to my man's Mickey, while we were enjoying this beautiful weather, we were thinking about those who have really, really, really suffered a tremendous suffrage because of the severe weather that they've had to deal with. While we were out and about and trying to think of things to do, they were praying that their loved ones were safe. They were hoping and praying that they could one day get back in their homes. And so I hope that we keep all those magnificent people in our hearts, in our thoughts, and in our prayers, especially those of us who know people who are affected. Let's keep them in our thoughts and our prayers. We have to find ways to get our money over to these really, really credible sources, because you all know, unfortunately, that there are some really, really corrupt sources that are swearing that they are out there for the humanitarian needs of those who are affected, and they are cuffing everything. I mean, so we have to make sure that we're finding the right ways to show our support and our love. So if you guys know of some really credible sources, post them. Let our people know. Would love to see that. Ron in the house. What's going on, Ron? My beautiful sister Steph in the house. What's going on, Steph? Listen, this is a kind of a unique day today, all right? Because today we get a chance to talk about some things that have really been on a lot of our minds. And I am just the one to dive in, not to the gossip of it, but to the truth of it. Because we're seeking solutions. We're seeking a way to find out what's really going on. You know, over the weekend, this world lost its mind. Okay? I mean, you guys know about Jeffrey Dahmer. You know about crazy movies like Silence of the Lamb. But right there in Russia, can you believe, on a military base, there was a husband and wife. All right? A husband and wife. Dmitry and Natalia Bakshiv, who were eating people on the base. I mean, the whole Jeffrey Dahmer thing going right there. So if you think it's crazy right now, let me just stop, pause, and give you a worldview. They are eating canned human being, frozen ground human being, according to the Russian newspapers. And this is extremely embarrassing for the Russian military because it's happening on their base. And they found that this has happened since at least 1999. That's disgusting, isn't it? Candace, what's going on? Carmen, what's good? Remember, you guys, like, comment, share. I'm on Instagram live. I'm on Facebook live. I'm on YouTube live. I am bringing this to you, but most importantly, I am on IntellectualRadio.com. We're an iHeart station. You can watch me live there. Get into the conversation. Tell me what you think, because we're going to be talking about some deep stuff here. Trust me. But on a positive note, world information. Can you believe in Saudi? They have now lifted the ban on women driving. Lifted the ban on women driving. And let me tell you, it is amazing on how deeply suppressed religions have maintained the woman of their religion. It is shocking to me how a woman, and every one of us have a mother, how a woman can be so spirituality, but yet and still be just completely oppressed. That one opportunity to express that spirituality. And I don't want to digress, but I'm just going to say it never ceases to amaze me. So we got Saudi lifting the ban on women driving. Of course, they still got to drive with all the stuff on their heads and everything else. And if they do anything wrong, they may get killed. But anyways, God bless them. Keep them in your prayers. Something else crazy happened over the weekend, and I think you guys know a lot about it. Who is one of the most beloved athletes of today, basically said, hey, I'm considering not showing up to the White House because of this I have with those who are in office right here. So rather than get into the politics of it, he just said, hey, I don't know if I'm going to do it. Then he said, you know, I'm really thinking I'm not going to do it. Now, here's the strangest, the craziest thing in the whole world is after the man basically says, nah, I'm not going to do it. What happens? Trump gets on Twitter and says he's uninvited. How do you uninvite somebody who turns you down? This to me is one of the funniest, some of the most just compelling information to let you know the kind of president you have. See, because once you realize the kind of president you have, then you know how to really take the things that come out of his mouth. Like a drunk uncle who you already didn't like, but now you got to make excuses and explain why. Try to rationalize the ignorance that is coming out of this fool's mouth. And I love it. I love it because, you know, this is a different day. This is a day where people will stand up and say, I don't respect anything that is against the Constitution, no matter who tries to bully me. And this is an important point of view because if you can see millionaires do it, you have to understand that there is significant economic ramifications to voicing your political position. There are a lot of people who stood up politically who have lost a lot of dollars through marketing, you know, through other avenues, public speaking. You know, I'll never forget when Muhammad Ali, who was very disliked, not just by white people. No. There were a lot of black people who felt that he was just another one of these blacks who kept antagonizing the relationships between the races when so many people just want to get along. Now, I stand it, but I've studied it enough to know it exists. So what ended up happening here, and stay with me if you will, what ends up happening in this situation is that we need a group think. What ends up happening in this situation, we have to take a look and say, are we so slow to think that everything is exactly how we think it is? And we're not willing to do the critical thought. Here's what I'm saying. When you understand the power of economics, you'll understand exactly what happened over this weekend. Because at a rally in Alabama, all heads flew. Well, see, because the one who has been selected as president went and did the fool. When referring to Americans, the president of this country, SOBs, and I don't mean SOBs, I mean the real son of a. Now, let me tell you something. I said this on a show and I will say it again. You cannot offend a man by calling him an SOB. What you have done is you have directly offended his mother or his father, depending on who the B is in this situation. Now, I don't give him enough intellectual credit to realize that that SOB has very racial ramifications. I won't give him enough intellectual credit to know historically that SOBs were used often in slave sale. So what we got was a man who gave the most colorful, the most insensitive, the most abrasive language, not to a terrorist, not to one of these racists, not to one of these murderers, and definitely not to any of society's worsts, but to people who decided that they wanted to partake in a constitutional right called a silent protest. I want you to understand something. I want you to understand that at his inauguration, Trump said that he was completely in support of any peaceful protest. And then he goes out and says the most inflammatory thing possible. A fellow citizen exercising a right that our soldiers fought and died for. Think about that. Because there is so much hypocrisy in this fool and these foolish statements that we need to take our time to make it a teaching point, a learning experience, and an opportunity for us to realize that nobody's as dumb as you think they are. Nobody's as smart as you think they are. And nobody is as naturally gifted as you think they are. If the richest can be the fool, then the poorest can be the wisest. Wisdom is what grows our communities. We have to make this a teaching moment. I want you to understand something here. I have never seen 4 words so completely twisted. So twisted that a president thinks he can get on national TV at a rally and call fellow Americans that he works for. I want you to show you how twisted this is. He actually thinks he's in the right. See, this I call, when I was a kid, we had Archie Bunker to grow up and learn from. See, we could laugh at that fool. So now today we can't laugh at Archie Bunker, but we got Donald Trump, which is equally entertaining and is equally a walking teaching moment every time he opens his mouth. You're listening to Tone Duncan. This is Truth Seekers. You guys like, comment, share. Catherine's in the house, and Yabel's in the house. Talk to me. I'm so loving the love, but let's spread it. Let me know what you think. Let's talk about it. You guys, let's really talk about what was being protested. Was it really the national anthem that was being protested, or was it the flag that was being protested, or was the national anthem merely a vehicle to launch a protest, and it had nothing directly against the flag? See, here's what a lot of people don't understand. See, Kaepernick didn't always kneel. See, some of us don't know this. Jojo, hey, what's going on? Glad you jumped in. Raina, what's up? What you have to understand is that Kaepernick first started by sitting in his quiet, private protest. And then one day, what ends up happening is he consults a Navy SEAL. See, and the Navy SEAL told him that he actually had a problem with him sitting. Okay, so this Navy SEAL, his name was Nate Boyer. Nate tells him, listen, I'd much rather you do the respectable thing in football, which is take a knee. How many of you understand what take a knee means? See, I understand what take a knee means, but I didn't know what it meant until somebody explained it to me when I was participating in football. See, because in all other sports, when you are tired, you sit on your butt. But it's disrespectful and lazy in football. It shows a laziness and a lack of team unity when you're sitting on your butt. You take a knee to show you're still engaged with your team. Still a teammate. Take a knee. Do you understand? This is something that is escaped. We need to pull it back. We need to understand what's really happening here. What's going on is that somebody was willing to do something that was very, very costly. They gave up their professional career, maybe not knowingly, but ultimately, giving up years of their career that they may or may not ever get back in to make a stand. But it wasn't a stand against the flag. It was a stand against the belief who honored the flag could stay as silent as he was during all of this racial inequality, this judicious aggressiveness, this police brutality, this hatred. And everybody stayed silent. So he did it too. But it was a vehicle. And the greatest love and respect for those who have put their lives on the line to fight for the country. And you who have lost family members who disagree, I respect it. And you have that right to agree or to disagree. You have the right to stand. But you have the right to protest. It's a right, whether you like it or not. It's not your choice. It's an American privilege. And this privilege came at a real cost. And don't worry yourself about how many people, even within the African American community, like or dislike this situation. Don't worry yourself about it, because I'm going to bring something to you probably didn't know. I'm going to tell you that at the time of the civil rights movement, 61% of the blacks that were polled were against the bus boycotts and thought that it wasn't going to help. And that brings me to something that I think a lot of you know, but we fail to realize it still happens right now today. And that is during the Underground Railroad, at a time where one of our greatest African American heroes risked her life, Harriet Tubman said, I freed 1,000 slaves. I would have freed 1,000 more had they only knew they were slaves. Special shout out to my man, Rob. Man, listen to this, you guys. I was on this Sunday. I was on job jacking. Oh my God, it was so awesome. Bob was there giving me, he was grilling me. Oh, TZ, they was getting me. Y'all got to check out Jaw Jacking on Sundays, 4 p.m. It was amazing, you guys. Go check on my line. You'll see that I had some fun stuff there. They really put me to task, but I tried to hold my own for the Truth Seeking family. Much love, much love, much love. These are the Intellectual Radio hosts that we have on the show. You got to check out IntellectualRadio.com. Special shout out to my good sisters, Pisces. What's good, diggy diggy? Well, listen, I'm going to bring this back because if I wanted to have a problem with the national anthem, I got the right. My problem is you don't realize you should have a problem with the national anthem. What's up, Instagram? Talk to me. Why don't you have a problem with the national anthem? Maybe because you've never actually read all the words of the Star Spangled Banner. Maybe you don't know enough to know that there's a problem with this so-called national anthem. Okay, let me give you a little bit of information because some of you don't know. So truth seekers, we go to the bottom of things. See, a truth seeker finds out what's really good. Truth seekers, this is what's really good. Francis Scott Key, who was a British prisoner of war when they fought America. Excuse me, he was a prisoner of war as an American detained by the Brits around 1812. He was an aristocrat, right? So he was one of the do-wells in the country. And he was also a city prosecutor. So this was a man of great fame and respect in his own right in his own community. Well, he was as anti-African as you can get. If you hoped for some form of mercy from this racist, the best you would ever get is he would be willing to drop you back off where they took you and exploited you from. But you get no pie. No pie. See, most of them believe, like the Dred Scott rule, that there was absolutely nothing about an African that a white man was bound to respect. Terrible. What's up, my baby blues in the house? But here's what I want to talk to you about. I want to talk to you about the words. See, because we all know the first stanza, or at least we jaw jack like we do. But here's the second stanza. The second stanza was, and where is that band who so vauntingly swore that the havoc of war and the battles of confusion, a home and a country shall leave us no more. No refuge can save. Now watch this. No refuge can save the hireling or slave from the terrors of flight or the gloom of the grave. And the star-spangled banner in triumph doth wave over the land of the free and the home of the brave. Some of you don't know what that means, but I'm going to talk to you about that. Thank you so much, JoJo. Thank you so much. Elijah in the house. Me and Elijah, boy, I know this brother puts in work. I'm going to bring you on the show one way or another, good brother. Listen, you may not know what those words mean. You go find out. You're a truth seeker. I'm a truth seeker. Go find out what those words mean. But while you're studying, I'm going to tell you what I know. words mean no matter what you do to us, the slave who thought that he could get out of his own gloom, and the hireling who thought there was no fear in trying to escape, well, their blood will saturate the ground so well that it will cover all the lost blood of the American citizen, i.e. the white man. This is what you put your hand on your heart and sound so foolishly saying. Shantae, what's up? Cuzzo. Remember, you guys, it's all about you. Like, comment, share, get in the conversation, invite your friends. This is The Truth Seekrz with Tone Duncan on IntellectualRadio.com. We are an iHeart channel every Tuesday, 7 o'clock. I'm bringing the heat. Did you know that? Did you know that that's what your Star Spangled Banner said? And that they make you stand and they will punish you. Now, I heard that Rahm Emanuel is going after a couple police officers because they took photos of them kneeling. And I thought for sure that it is an American right to protest. But then I remembered there is a law that if you're in uniform, you can't protest. So we'll see how that goes. But it sounds like something that's going to be really, really strange going forward. We'll be liking to see that. What I want to talk to you about. What I want to talk to you about is that now everybody's what? They done jumped in on the Trump hate. And what's escaped? What's escaped is the original message, which is the inequality and an amazing amount of consistency throughout this country of the treatment of the African in America. And it's not just the male anymore. And we don't talk about these things. Sisters, I'm talking to you. You think it's just the young men? You think it's just the brothers out here? Don't you understand the real game going? I'm going to put it to you so you do. See, it's all about trying to get rid of entitlements. Have you noticed a lot more minority women are being paraded across your screens at night, arrested for drugs and other felonies? Did you know that if you've been convicted of a felony in some states like Illinois, you are no longer entitled to the citizen's right of welfare? Did you know that? So now, sister, I want you to think about this, because that's the only game they taught us, and now you can't have it. I hope you think about what I'm telling you, because what goes on now is if you have children, you're incapable of supporting them. You have a past. You've had a boyfriend at the house. He had some drugs on him. He told you take the weight. You took the felony. You can't get welfare. Your kid's gone. That's what happens when you think you're in a system that has your back. Wrong. The system is anti-handout, but they do it without telling you whose hand it is. That's pulling them. You got to understand that this is real stuff out here. This is scary, real stuff. But I'm going to talk to you about something else, just so there's no misunderstanding. I'm going to talk to you about the fact that right now, today, when a person who has committed a drug dealing felony crime can no longer get welfare, nothing is happening to the police officer who uses excessive force. And I'm disrespected by the term excessive force. It don't sound forceful enough. So somebody kills somebody. maim, some paralyze somebody. Oh yeah, they get arrested. Sometimes they get charged. But they never in the history of this country have been convicted of killing an African in America in any capacity. Let me tell you what's the truth. The truth is, you kill the right African in America and you can be a millionaire. That's right, I said it. You kill the right black person in America, you can be a millionaire. They're making millionaires out of police that kill black people in America. Killing Michael Brown made Darren Wilson a millionaire. Did you know that? Of course you should know that. It's been around forever, we know this. But you need to know why we take kneels. Here's my question to you. Did you know that when Darren Wilson was even mentioned as possibly being legally responsible for the blatant murder of Michael Brown, the money just started pouring in. The money just started pouring in. And you know, here's the thing. It wasn't just one group. It was many groups. Many groups. How much do you think the family of Michael Brown got? Very little. See, because we aren't taught true revolution. We're not taught true liberation. We're not taught true American protest. You want to protest something? You got to have money. Or else the people with the money will come protest for you. Ask the people in Black Lives Matter. They'll tell you. They'll tell you. They had to go and get money from somebody. Soros. They had to go get money. Okay, without money, there's no protest. But here I'm going to tell you something else. They didn't have enough money, and it wasn't black money. So what ends up happening? You go to Black Lives Matters rally, and all of a sudden you see communists, you see socialists, you see all these different people parasitially trying to take your platform. Because it's really not black lives that matter. It's agendas. It's agendas. And you got to ask yourself, what agenda are you screaming out? Is Black Lives Matter the end all be all? Not to me. They don't address black on black issues. So they're only a segment of our representation. And I get sick of people who scream at the fire department because they don't shoot robbers. So you never would do that, would you? So you wouldn't have a problem with the fire department because you know they have a specific responsibility. Put out fires. Black Lives Matter, you have a specific responsibility to deal with the inadequacy of our representation in the police force. Have to deal with the fact that we're getting gunned down on the streets. That's your job. Just do good at it. Stop biting yourselves in the face. And then we'll deal with the other problems. But don't find yourself on those platforms because you have a specific responsibility. So we got to get off of Black Lives Matters when they're representing the way they should and understand that Black Lives Matters, it means all lives matters because everybody knew the other lives already mattered. And this was specifically about the treatment of our people by the police when nobody's looking. See, what you got to understand is that this man had $500,000 before they even finished funding, setting up the fund sites. Darren Wilson. Yeah. And this is something else you got to know. You got to know that the primary person who set it up was a woman whose father got gunned down by the police. But she was a white woman whose grandfather happened to be the police. So she was as twisted and confused as they come because she only had the worldview she had. She loved her grandfather. He probably treated her like a queen, and she could never fathom the evil in their hearts. So she made sure that this man got $1 million. He married a woman in the police force. He quit $1 because, of course, you and I both know that the legal defense was paid for by your tax dollars. And he rode off in the sunset. Rode off in the sunset. And this is the stuff that we fight about. This is the stuff that we get so passionate about that we can't even keep our social media feeds quiet from the anger, the frustration. And I'm not a political person, but I believe ultimately if you don't own the politicians that are representing you, there's absolutely no way in the world they're going to come to bat. Yeah, I'm telling you, Ruth, I had no idea. But I'm going to tell you some other things that I didn't know about too, because this is where the conversation is going to get a little bit thick. Did you know one of the primary things that changed when this man became president is that retaliating from excessive force is now a hate crime? So if you fight the police, it's no longer aggravated battery against a peace officer. Oh, wow, they throw that around like it's a free gift certificate to a McDonald's or something. Every single time. If they fight you, you're getting a charge. But now they've taken it to a whole nother level. See, now something has happened that if we don't have somebody standing up in protest, we are going to go through some real serious problems. You guys, I'm going to bring something to your attention. All right, in July of 2012, over in the Auburn Gresham district, the police gunned down a young man because him and an assailant, a co-conspirator, theoretically, robbed a gyro restaurant of about $1,250. One of the guys runs to one way and the other guy runs the other way, and the police take off after only one of them. They circle back, find that the other guy is laying on his back full of blood, dead. Cops gunned him down. The other guy, in such misery over watching his friend laying in the street dead, runs over to his side. Even though he knows that they're looking for him, and he may have done it, I don't know. But he's immediately arrested for disorderly conduct because he wasn't supposed to go touch. Well, he gets arrested. Then they find out that he was one of the kids that ran. And guess what, you guys? They charged the man with murder. Do you understand that they charged this kid whose best friend and him possibly did a strong arm robbery? He charges the kid with murder. And why? Why? I'm going to tell you why. Because of a very controversial legal doctrine known as the felony murder rule. You got to understand why we are kneeling. I'm going to explain this to you so you understand. Two kids supposedly rob a place. That's evil. Okay? They need to be arrested and jailed if that's the case. But we don't know yet because one was gunned down before he had a trial. And then the other one was charged with the murder because in Illinois, like any other country, you're supposed to, and I'm going to say this with the most respect, you're supposed to trust the police and damn the criminal. But this is where the hypocrisy is. Because the problem going on right now is that our people are being killed, and then because they were killed, now the other one gets the murder charge, and then they can't fight a felony. They don't know how to defend something they never physically did themselves because chances were already set in place. They were going to take the plea bargain, and then now they're taking pleas for a murder and the original crime they may or may not have done. Every day they're coming out of jail. DNA is freeing them. Police are being found to beat and maim until they get signed confessions. Do you understand? This is the same thing that's going on. I got more stuff to talk to you about. There was another situation where two kids were riding down the street. They looked exactly like a car that was in a drive-by shooting. They apparently were being chased by an unarmed car, an unmasked car with no siren. And then the officers shot at the car, killed one of the guys. The guy pulls over and they charge him with the murder. Felony fleeing of a crime. Do you understand what we're going through? Because that murder is on the person who is responsible for committing the felony. See, the rule is, if a felony was in place, you're responsible for the murder. Now we got to ask ourselves about the drug laws. Are the drug laws set up to be a little harsher? Now, are you understanding why? Are you understanding why? Because you need to understand what's going on here. You got this kid sitting in jail doing 32 and 20. Man says, I'm not perfect, but I don't deserve this. And that's why we kneel to bring recognition to our lost ones, who society has already painted with a criminal brush. Nobody cares about them. They shouldn't have been there. Wrong move. Breaks my heart. But you got to ask yourself, who's going to represent them? Who? Who's got their back? Who's going to step up and make their platform the calling card for awareness in our country? But see, now we have a problem. See, our problem is that we have made a decision as Africans in America that we don't watch football. So some of you didn't get a chance to see how blacks and whites and rich and really rich stood together and said, it's not about race. You know what it's really always been about? Economics. See, this is the American caste system. And you have to understand that there's nothing more superficial than any other way that this country's aristocrats divide the poor. It's all game. But if you don't see outside of your own issue, you'll never see how much you have in common with the issues of the guy next door to you. No matter what color he is, because I love to talk about white privilege. I'll never forget when I first learned about white privilege. And I'll tell you the truth, because y'all gonna get mad at me. 45 minutes in, I'm gonna make somebody offended. I've never seen white privilege more blatant, more glaring, more obvious than in our own community with our own people. That's white privilege. When every time you look up, somebody's trying to identify, be selected, be liked, be pals. So they don't see them as equals, brothers, sisters, fellow citizens, but they give them such a white privilege in our communities. They're humans like us. 1 foot at a time. It's the only way they can put on their pants. We are all the same. But in these streets, that's not the case. And we need to know that. See, here's what we need to understand is that this guy, his name is DiCarlo, Officer DiCarlo. I just want you to understand, he was never charged with the murders. And when you look at the 238 shootings that have happened in Illinois, you realize that never, not once, has it been a serious problem when it dealt with a minority. The dash cams are always supposed to save us. See, that's how they spin us. But the truth is, the dash cam only has value when they park in the right place. When I know I'm doing something bad, well, I'm going to tell them. And who do you think knows the game better than the most decorated of our peace officers? Yeah, this DiCarlo, believe it or not, he's a 15-year CPD, 21 misconducts. 21. Violence, all kind of rights abuses. And all at the same time, when he's gunning down these kids and blaming the next guy for the murder, he's getting merits. He's getting awards. Rahm Emanuel is making him look like he's the next Captain America. And then what does the criminal scientists say? What are the ones who study our laws and determine whether or not we're getting the quality and representation that we should? You know what they say? They say anytime a felony murder charge can be given to an arrestee when a police officer is the one who in fact did the murder, you have to know that that's a cover-up. You got to know that's a cover-up. And this is the kind of stuff that makes us do the things that we are doing to show the kind of recognition. And if you can find somebody willing to put their entire livelihood on the line and do it peacefully, get out of that person's way. Because the best thing they ever did was tricked the African in America to, for the most part, always look to do something peaceful. Thank God that you proselytized, our people into being the servants of the God of hereafter. Thank God that we don't have the same God that you guys serve, which is the God of the right now today. Because had we looked at our present situation the way that the Americans looked at their situation on the eve of the revolution, we would have a lot of problems. And I'm a person who doesn't like violence, but I am also a person who understands that our people are perpetually beaten down by this violence. You know, one of my Facebook posts, you guys, it was amazing to see so many people kneel in recognition of our right to protest. But how many of you are willing to stand in protest of all these urban terrorists in our community? Because to me, until we clean our own house, it doesn't matter who throws garbage from the outside. It will never, never amount to the amount of garbage we have going on the inside. Hey, this is your boy, Tone Duncan. This is Truth Seekers. Every Tuesday, 7 p.m., I bring it. And I bring it because this is a conversation that we need to have. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, IntellectualRadio.com. We have amazing hosts here. And we speak on the things that I hope every Tuesday at 7, you got me on the calendar as a scheduled event. Every week we try to bring something that is powerful. I ask that you join in on the conversation. Like, comment, share. This is always an amazing opportunity to jump into the conversation with you who really are the truth seekers. One of the things that I think a lot of you don't understand is that they've done a complete investigation as to how this law has been used in Illinois. Just Illinois alone. All they want to know is, how have you police been utilizing this right to put murders on felons or those who are accused of, in some ways, promoting or doing a felony at that time? This is the reason why the federal government has made the Chicago Police Department now accountable by judicial oversight because of the amount of corruption. Tell you about another case. There's some little thug kids. I'm not a big fan of thugs, but I give them the same rights I would demand because these rights are theirs. Remember what your God said. Jesus said, He shineth on the wicked and the good. So don't get it twisted. If it's for us, it's for us. These are our rights. But here's the deal. Drive by. Police find them. Again, these are allegations. Police find them. When they find them, they just immediately unload in the car. Kills two of them. When there's three in the car, when one of them is observed getting their head blown off, the third one puts his hands up, comes out of the car, and lays on the ground. I want you to understand this, man, because this is no joke. I want you to understand that when he was laying on the ground, this kid's name is Tristan Skaggs. He's laying on the ground. The dude stands over him. We're talking about a real decorated police officer. You have to understand, when I say this was a decorated police officer, I'm talking about highly decorated. They shot this boy in the back with a rifle. He didn't die, y'all. He should have died. You know why? Because as soon as he came through, he was charged with the other two murders. He's charged with the other two murders. And convicted. And convicted. She might as well have charged him with an attempt murder of himself. Might as well. Craziness. And this is why they kneel. Protect this guy, but to protect that guy's American rights. Sergeant Picardo. That's who this was. All the while, this dude's getting superintendent awards of valor. You hear me? This guy is getting all kinds of praise and accolades and he tried to kill somebody point blank. So this is why America cannot get twisted into thinking that somehow this is about Donald Trump, because Donald Trump is an indicator of the sickness. But the real sickness that's affecting us right now is the lack of exposure of those who kill us viciously. And nobody holds them accountable. No, we'll have no peace. You can stop watching football all you want, but it ain't gonna stop one African in America from getting killed. Hey, you guys, I could talk all night, but I don't pay enough. Until next week, this your boy, Tone Duncan. Come on, y'all. Like, comment, share. Let's get this conversation going. We're talking even when I leave. It's the Truth Seekrz on IntellectualRadio.com. For those of you listening to IntellectualRadio.com, stay on. We got an exciting guest coming up next. We got a brand new show. We got fun. Got all kind of stuff, but you got to listen. It's the Truth Seekrz. Peace.